2 years ago, my spine bent and cracked in disagreement with the plans I had made that day. My goal was to catch a train, and so be it, I did not catch that train. Headed to a peace conference to deliver a keynote, I kept thinking, peace waits for no one. That day, peace waited for me. Feeling the rush of pain, dull and relentless, spread across my vertebrae and down the length of my arm, I chose to ignore it. Sometimes you don't know the value of something until it stops working. Sometimes it takes the breakdown of everything for us to build anew. As I relearned how to sit, to move, to grip, to hold, as I relearned how to be, the world took a parallel journey, as if the universe were saying, hey, in case you didn't get the message, here it is again on a grander global scale that's impossible to ignore. Our collective state became a metaphor for all of the imperfections in each of our individual lives. My injury came only 2 or 3 weeks before the quarantine. The sound of laughter, the love of warm bodies, all gone. As we all learned to move again, to sit, to grip, to eat, and to hold again. Suddenly the only certain thing became the sun rising in the east, setting in the west, and repeating the next day, and the next day, and the next. What happened in between was out of our hands for the first time in a very long time. And in a classic show of hubris, we were surprised. Our tiny species surprised that the world had made other plans. When I look back on the past couple of years, it reads like a dream. Beautiful and terrible, redemptive and impossible. And now we've reverted to our waking state of heightened panic, backwards momentum and distrust, war in Ukraine, the loss of bodily autonomy, violence and inequality, losing ground as quickly as we'd gained it. Although I didn't make that train 2 years ago, I still somehow made it to that speech. A year later, in complete opposition to the heightened state of panic I was in before, I made my biggest stride toward change to date as the youngest independent advisor to the peace talks for my country, and one of the only women to break through, arguing people over politics, safety over power, from the confines of my room in New Haven, dreaming of Marawi, of Darfur, of Durman, of Khartoum. But again, in a journey parallel with the world, the peace has begun to unravel. The October coup sending our country back into turmoil in moments when it took decades for us to break free. Our empathy once again dormant, waiting for crisis to remind us of our shared humanity. We forget what is good for what is available. We ignore what is humane for what is convenient or familiar. But just as often, we triumph through pain and turn its memory into progress. We take disappointment and turn it into opportunity. We make peace when all we've been dealt is war. What I learned from facing the end of the world with 8 billion other people is that it was truly the end of the world. We would weather it together, keenly aware of our own mortality and newly reminded of our shared humanity. We would bake and cook and sing and dance. We would fundraise and protest and innovate and research. We would marry and problem solve. We would take notice, lifting our neighbors up as high as all of our compatriots as we mourn and learn and grow as we go. We would scrutinize the imperfections that run deep across our world, noticing the weakened points we created from neglecting one another, nursing the divides in all of our myriad systems that bustle to the surface. Isn't it strange how much our views change with context? Isn't it breathtaking how quickly our hearts grow open when our world expands? In my language, the word for human is insan, the forgetful one. For those of us lucky enough to remember, there are more good days than bad. There's more good in us than we give ourselves credit for. And there's better we've done for one another in these past couple of years than we have in a very long time. It's up to us now to call on each other with that same presence of mind and empathy to brave this moment and the next one and the next. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Emi Mahmoud.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Look, there's people.
Thank you so much.
This is Emi Mahmoud, the Sudanese-American poet, activist, author, UNHCR Goodwill Ambassador, friend of Zeitgeist. Emi, so good to have you to start us off. Thank you.
With you, Matt.
And behind us, what have we got here? Tell us about this and what it means to you.
Marawi.
Marawi. So
Yes.
This is Sudanese civilization, and we're working together with you on a project here.
Yes, I'm really excited to actually be sharing this with you and to have collaborated with you on it, because this is one of the best hidden treasures of Sudan. A lot of people will tell you from Sudan, there are more pyramids in Sudan than there are in Egypt, and a lot of people don't know that. I don't want to spoil the whole project, but what I want to say is the thing that was incredible about doing this with Google especially is just that I firmly believe that when you change what narratives are told and who gets to tell them, you're actually changing the world. So giving us access and giving us the opportunity to have people who are from Sudan collaborate with stakeholders and different spaces inside the company and otherwise, it gives us a chance to bring a positive story out of Sudan for the first time in a very long time.
Well, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for your partnership, and thank you for getting us started. Emi Mahmoud.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emi.